Greetings and salutations, my name is Deku Druid, and today we will be playing Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War. A game that I first played in my childhood, which was actually my third introduction to the RTS genre at the time, preceded only by Age of Empires and I think a strange game also made by Relic called Impossible Creatures, if I'm remembering correctly. It was a weird game about merging creatures. Fun, but not as fun as Dawn of War. Dawn of War, of course, being the first of the Warhammer video games that I ever had experience with, and as such, I thought that now would be the penultimate time to dive headfirst into the scene and go back to the beginning, as it were, well, my beginning, and let you all enjoy and experience with me what I consider to be one of the best of the entire Warhammer series of games. Not only do I feel like it is heads and shoulders above its sequels, those being Dawn of War 2 and Dawn of War 3, I haven't really had the, I'm not really in a position to where I feel comfortable ranking Soulstorm and all that just yet, but we'll get to them, hopefully. But as far as the Dawn of War series go, I am a firm believer that the first is the best, but that could just be my nostalgia goggles. Who knows, maybe that will change given time. But that is, of course, leaving out all the other Warhammer 40 games that have come out, like Space Marine, the one where you're like you're like a naval commander in space. That one I haven't actually tried, but I am looking forward to getting around to. The Mechanicus one, that looks like really XCOM and Tactics-like. I really want to give that one a try. Also, the music from that one, I haven't even played it yet, but the music from that one is just mwah, muy bueno. So, the fact of the matter is, though, we're going to be starting off from the beginning, my beginning. I do not know if there are older games, and I do not care to find out if there are older games. This is already going pretty far back, so let's just take what we can, okay? But anyway, we will be starting off, of course, with the very first game, and I hope this can be a fun and explorative delve into the Warhammer 40k universe, while also taking the time to enjoy and immerse ourselves in workshops, many varied and differently unique creations. Yes, that's a fine way to point it out. But I am actually a big fan of the 40k universe. I do not know as much about the fantasy and Age of Sigmar stuff. I know a little bit about the Age of Heresy, the Horus Heresy, sorry, stuff, but yeah, most of my knowledge pertaining to Warhammer versus is entirely centered on the 40k universe, and for that reason I figured it would be the best place for me to start off with, and hence we're going back to 40k Dawn of War, very first game. But yeah, in the background that's just me playing the tutorial. I had to get reacquainted with a game that I haven't touched since my childhood, but yeah, so this will be a playthrough of the main campaign. Might throw in a few skirmishes as well, but I really just wanted to take the chance to kind of, go through the story of the Blood Ravens, which I think are a really cool chapter of the Space Marines. I can't remember if they're a successive chapter of anyone. If they are, I'm assuming it's the Blood Angels, like maybe I'm assuming they would be like some of Sanguinius's kids. But, of course, hopefully I want to play through the entire campaign just so we can enjoy Gabriel's story, and then of course I would like to play a few skirmishes where I can play the best, the biggest, and the strongest, the boys, because I am a massive fan of the orcs. But yeah, no, let's just get in there and get it started, hey? It is the 41st millennium, and the universe sucks. Alrighty, let's get started. Mission 1. Normal. Yeah, alright, we'll start on normal. Fuck no. I might be a useless druid, but that don't mean I'm gonna be that useless.
In the name of the Emperor, you will not falter! You will fight, or you will die.
I am Captain Gabriel Angelos of the Blood Ravens 3rd Company. Status.
My lord, forgive me. We have done all we can to stop the orcs, but we have failed. My men's lives are yours.
You stood your ground in the face of the Emperor's foes. You've done your duty. If your men have failed you, I will leave their judgment in your hands.
Thank you, my lord.
I am not here for your thanks. This port must be held if we are to maintain troops and supply lines to the planet's surface. That is why we are here. Now, what of the wounded and the civilians?
Stranded. We have few ships.
Then you shall have more. All Blood Raven flights execute Protocol 23 and initiate civilian evacuation. We will dispatch the ground forces.
Yes, my lord.
Ground forces, my lord. But the orcs have retreated.
You must know your enemy to defeat them, Colonel. Orcs only retreat to regroup. They will keep coming until you or they are dead. Brothers, let us destroy this alien filth!
Radio, if there is, please forgive the strange skip there. That was just me quickly adjusting some of the audio settings. This game can be a little bit loud. There is in-game dialogue, mainly from our man, Force Commander Gabriel over here.
On alert, brothers. The enemy must be nearby.
So he's going to be speaking a lot, and I just don't want to overspeak him, because, you know, there is actually a story to this game. It's very Warhammer 40k-ish in its story, being basically, you know, humanity defiantly standing against the alien forces. So for that exact reason, I'm just going to...
Splendid. The stronghold is complete. We must now set
At
about
your
establishing a proper frontline base.
Objective acquired. Ever vigilant. Strategic point identified.
Beware the alien, the mutant, the heretic.
Yeah.
We must start capturing strategic points. These 3 closest strategic points will do for now. Let us capture them first, and then move on to the others. The first thing we need is a chapel barracks. That will allow us to call down more Space Marine squads.
So, clearly, despite the fact that I've already played a tutorial, the developers of this game must have assumed a lot of people would just skip it, and so there seems to be going over a brief iteration of the tutorial just real quickly in case you thought you were cheeky and would slide by without knowing how to play the game. But, no matters, hopefully it shouldn't be too in your face.
Onward to glory.
But yeah, I mean, like, we're already just in, and I can't help but say, like, there's so much things I want to go after. Like, that beginning cinematic, like, how we saw the Space Marines drop in the middle of the drop pods, how we saw the Commissar shoot the cowering, retreating opponents, the orcs themselves. There's just so much to talk about.
Excellent. The chapel barracks is finished. Now you can build some more Space Marine squads.
But, as you can see, I'm trying to not speak over the wonderful Blood Raven Commander Gabriel, so as such, I'm going to try and, like, just speak in between his lines. That way we can all still hear the docile tones of our Lord Commander.
If we are to defeat these orcs, we will need to call in some special weapons. We must build an armory to get access to them.
Cool, okay, I hope we have a moment to speak, because it's going to take a while for the armory to finish building. So, real quick, just for those of you who are unaware, basically what's happening here is we are going to be following the Space Marines. They're the big guys in red. They are known as the Space Marines, or the Astartes. They are the super soldiers of humanity, made by the God Emperor of Mankind by genetic manipulation, as well as, I think, some cybernetic enhancement, which is basically a strange way of saying they are taken as children brought into these like super elite leagues of soldiers, and then they are transformed into these devout, basically demigods of war.
With all due haste.
Excellent. The armory is operational. The Space Marine squads can now upgrade from standard bolters to flamers and heavy bolters.
Heavy bolters and flamers, that's right, we're getting the real weapons now. We're about to have a lot of orc giblets.
We must not forget our power needs. Building a plasma generator will supply us with the power we need to keep our force going.
We are the
Right, so, but yeah, that is what a Space Marine is, essentially. And the guys we're fighting today are the Orcs. Now, the Orcs are my favorite army in the WH40k universe. My favorite species, favorite everything. Just everything about the Orcs is something I love, because in a grimdark universe like Warhammer 40k, I believe that there are two outcomes that the reader can get from it that are especially enjoyable. Now, yeah, of course, you can delve into the whole, everything sucks, everything's dark, everything's gloomy, and everyone dies. But that's, you know, that's the setting. That's not what you should be taking from it. Of course, you can take such a morose thing from it if you desire, but there are two things that the Warhammer 40k universe excels at, and that is big, ridiculous, crazy mayhem, and then this is not just the Warhammer 40k universe. I feel like this applies to a lot of the grimdark universes, but there are, being in a grimdark universe innately gives you the ability to look for that one little bright light, and they shine all the brighter because of how bad shit is around them. And the Orcs are a prime example of this, because they are not just a tiny bright light, but for them every day is a good day if there's a fight. And in a grimdark universe like 40k, where there is no such thing as peace and everything is war, every day is a damn good day. Evidently, though, I need to actually stop talking and pay more attention to my resource consumption. Sorry about that.
While the enemies of the Emperor still draw breath,
the reason the Orcs shine in a grimdark universe is because they do not think like we do. They do not think like a regular person would at seeing their best friend blow up, for an example. To an Orc, that's funny. To an Orc, seeing a big thing hurtling towards them that wants to stomp on them and eat them, that's fun. To an Orc, seeing everything around them burn, that's funny. So, in the grimdark universe, an Orc's only goal is to find a good fight, or find something to eat, or basically, they don't worry about, like, you know, getting a job or the stresses of their day. Instead, for them, it's, bored, let's punch something. And, you know, that's just, there's something simply enjoyable about that.
Defending objective.
Well done. We have captured several strategic points. Capturing strategic points and building listening posts on them earns us more requisition resource, which we can use when we build squads and equipment.
Which I am sorely in need of, because I keep forgetting to pay attention to how much of my resources I'm actually consuming.
I will do as you ask.
So yeah, I'll be building a lot of...
brothers. The enemy must be nearby.
Moving out.
It is time to hunt down the source of these Orcs. They must have a base somewhere within the walls of this Imperial facility. Where? Plasma generators will continue to produce power at a constant rate, but there is a limit of how many plasma generators can be built per stronghold. Look! An Orc camp. And look there! A break in the spaceport's defensive wall. They must have blasted their way in. We must destroy this Orc camp and any others these foul creatures may have constructed.
This is it. Look at them go. Flamers, bolters, flying. Love it.
Excellent. The point is now protected from an Orc retaliation. We should continue to build listening posts on all our captured points. Excellent. This Orc camp has been destroyed.
Fear our wrath.
Those Imperial Guardsmen look like they could use some assistance. Come, brothers, make haste.
Our prayers have been answered. Here come the Space Marines!
Damn, that was a lot of talking. I'm just gonna quickly get some words in now, edgewise, while I can.
Yes, Lord.
But, so yeah, orcs and humans here, and yeah, there are some other aliens later, and there's some, other enemies later, too, for anyone who hasn't played this game, although, again, it's an old game. I'm assuming that any viewers who are watching this are either bitten by the nostalgia bug or just want to enjoy some Warhammer 40k goodness.
We are the Imperial Guard. It is time we started acting like it.
We stand ready.
There's a good comparison too, I mean, between just the
Emperor
Space
protects.
Marines and the Imperial Guard. Like, you know, Imperial Guard, those are your regular, everyday humans, like your average soldier conscripted, given a las rifle, and sent out to defend the
Awaiting
universe
orders.
against all the
We stand
abominations
ready.
that exist within it. And compared to a
Fear
Space
denies
Marine,
faith.
you know, this
Heresy
genetically
grows
engineered
from
super
On alert,
soldier,
brothers.
demigod,
The enemy
descendant
must
of
be
a
nearby.
literal godlike entity, it's kind of
Ever
it's no wonder that religious dogma can take over a universe such as this, especially when you consider just how much of a beacon and a bastion the
Position
Space
secure.
Marines must be, and then of course they're directly
What would you
tied
have
to
me
the
do?
Emperor. I mean, there was a whole thing about the Age of Apostasy, which is was an example of where the religious
Fear
dogma
our
of the
wrath.
Empire really took over, but again, that's a whole
Stay
other spiel.
vigilant, brothers.
Then I have to get into the Inquisition. I don't like talking
Weapons
about the
at ready.
Inquisition because
It
I
is
dislike
time.
them.
Orders received, brother.
Just another reason to like the Orcs. Keep things simple.
Stay vigilant. Enemy is attacking.
But yeah, just real quick on the gameplay aspects of it, I've been requisitioning my soldier squadrons down here. I've been mainly focusing on trying to have a sort of well-balanced squads for the time being. So that's why I've got one squad fully dedicated to heavy bolters, one squad dedicated to
Here to
flamers.
serve. I shall
Oh right,
obey.
listening posts, gotta build those.
Build routine
Uh,
721.
I think the squad that's highlighted in purple is also the one that has Gabriel attached to it. That is going to be my hybrid squad, so I've given them heavy bolters and flamers, and finally I've got one squad which I'm just going to keep
stand
as a
ready.
regular blank squad,
Walk softly.
simply so I have access to mid-range bolters. So hopefully this way I have access to a good diverse range of combat, and I can pretty much for everything that's in this level, I should be able to respond, I'm hoping, because if they've given me a challenge like armor or something, then I'm going to be annoyed that they haven't given me access to rockets or plasma cannons.
He who stands with me shall be my brother.
But you should notice there's like just the architecture as well, like when you look around the place, like the big ramps, how there's like skulls everywhere. Skulls are pretty much like the motif of the Empire of Humanity, which is just hilarious to me, like, because, you know, like, what you don't really think of skulls as the good guy normally, but like with the Imperium of Man, you gotta remember they're not the good guys, they're just
The Emperor still
the less bad guys, which is funny because, you know, there's no real good guys, so to say. Like, there are individuals, I suppose you could say, are good, but as far as factions go, I don't think you could really, like, earnestly state that one faction is
At your command.
more morally correct than the others. Like, yeah, there are those who are more morally wrong, but none of them are really,
The Emperor protects.
like, there are some good guys that come to mind, but, like, they're not gonna be, you know, championing the universe a bit, saving the day, because that's not how Grimdark works. They're just more meat for the grinder. I feel like that's one of the reasons that you gotta love the Orcs, though, is more meat for the grinder for them is fun. And that's why they're always, you know, out looking for a better fight, a bigger wog, as it is. But yeah, just going back to this game, it just reminds me of all the fun I had as a kid. Just some of the bigger battles, the big explosions,
Direct us to the enemy.
the different tactics.
Cleanse, purge, kill. Weapons at ready.
Just
It
so
is
much to
time.
enjoy. Like, just down here, you have
Engaging the enemy.
Right here, you have a Lehman Russ tank that's been overtaken by the orcs, and that's just funny to me because, you know, one of the ways you can... It's immediately painted red. Because, for those of you who don't know, orcs have this sort of, psychic ability. It's like a psychic herd mentality. And if enough of them believe in something, it sort of, in a way, warps reality and starts to come true. So, this captured human tank, naturally, is... Oh, I accidentally set my flamers there. I think we'll just knife the tank to death, because I think that might actually be quicker. But yeah, no, as I was saying, the orc herd psychic mentality actually warps reality. So by painting that tank red that they've captured, they believe, and in a way it does, become faster. Because they believe it does, it then actually moves faster than a regular tank would. And that's just... like I said, just there's a lot of reasons to love the orcs, and their psychic herd mentality is just one of them. Ooh, more regular humans in need of some little bit of intervention. Just look at the size. I'm not sure if that's a good angle for it, but if you just look at the size difference between these poor regular Imperial soldiers and the orcs,
Warm up, men! There's work to be done!
you start to get an idea of why the Astartes are needed, like, in this universe. Just for humanity to stand a chance. The super soldier, I'm not saying they become mundane, of course, because they are rare still. They are super soldiers who are rare. They're not your standing army. They're not your main bulwark of defense. That would be the Imperial Guard. But it is still amusing to me to see that in this terrible, no-good, horrible universe where every day is such a slug for humanity, slog for humanity,
What would you have me do?
Space Marines do have a place in it, and it's not as the heroes of the Imperium, it's as the necessity of the Imperium.
Objective acquired.
And that's not even going into, like, the other human, in quotation marks, human faction.
As you wish.
Ever vigilant. Moving out.
But yeah, no, from a gameplay perspective, I have a lot of love for this, because as it is,
Praise the Emperor.
good thing I saw that.
Weapons at ready.
I have a lot of love for this game because of things like the fact that these giant craters you find that are around give cover bonuses, which is the blue and white stripe you see over units' heads. That's a defense bonus, a defense buff they get for being in an area of high cover. Just see if I can get a better view. There we go. You'll notice that there are just sometimes you'll see units flying. That's one of the things I love about this game, is that units that go suffer a extremely heavy blow or a massive explosion get sent soaring, and you gotta admit that's awesome. More ragdoll physics in games. Let's do it. Ah, there he goes. But yeah, you've got, like, melee units in there, just, You'll also notice every now and then finishers, like, random units will perform, like, these special, like, finisher attacks on a enemy unit, and, like I said, just mortal love. That's all it is, just mortal love. Also, I love looking at all the, destroyed architecture,
Excellent.
like... Oop.
This orc camp has been destroyed.
Thank you, Gabriel. I kind of noticed. Destroyed architecture, like you can see the like Gothic stone buildings that once would have towered are now nothing more than like just rubble and part of the fog of war. And it kind of like, it really does help with the atmosphere you're going for here on, I think this planet's called Totters.
While the enemies of the Emperor still
Just
draw breath,
the way
there
that,
can be no
you know,
peace.
we're not here to save the day, we're here to fight.
Faith is my
We're not here to be the,
Orders received, brother.
we're not here to prevent massive casualties, we're here to like just save who we can in a way.
Direct us to the enemy.
Which is another interesting thing about the Blood Ravens,
Beware
is
the alien.
a lot of Astartes actually, in an ironic sense, don't view themselves as regular mundane humans anymore. They view themselves as superior and above.
The enemy must be nearby.
As such, it was interesting to me when I first playing this again now, because when I first played it I was a kid, but playing it again now, knowing what to do about the 40k universe, it's interesting to me that Gabriel immediately started assisting the commissar at the start about how he would aid in the evacuation of civilians. That to me is very interesting, because there are Adeptus Astartes who just do not care at all for your regular, everyday Joe and Jane.
Orders received.
I'm wondering if flamers were the right way to go, but I like the amount of moral damage they do, and it's just, it might be quicker to kill a lot of these. I'm not sure if they're slugger boys or shooter boys, to be honest. I'll have to check next time I get near them.
Today, the enemy shall know fear.
Moving out.
That's another thing with orcs, is the unit names. Gotta love them. Shooter boys, slugger boys, weed boys, knobs, gits.
Orders received.
Just, I love them. And then some of the war bosses have absolutely, like, some of the greatest names ever. Gazgul Thraka comes to mind.
Attacking as ordered.
I think these are... Ooh. They've got axes. And they don't seem to... They seem to be wielding, like, tiny little shooters, as they call them. So I'm thinking these are slugger boys.
Reporting for duty, sir.
Ooh. We actually get to use the Lumen Rust tank. Nice. Fun fact about these tanks. I think they're named after a Primarch. Which is, you know... Primax are the progenitors and high commanders of Space Marine chapters, or well, they used to be of Space Marine legions back when they were still these massive. Before they went through a whole thing and they got split up into chapters, they used to be called Space Marine legions, and back then they were under the high command of a individual called a Primarch, who was a actual son of the Emperor of Mankind, back before he was called the God Emperor. And, ooh, I might... No, we should be good. They're not in cover, but I might need to send over some more troops. Oh! Oh, wow, I didn't think we were still in range of the Leman Russ tank. Never mind. Ah, right. I was actually trying to save those humans. Well, like I said, a lot of Astartes don't care about their fellow man, and it seems neither do Leman Russ's Leman Russ drivers. Maybe the machine spirit's just angry. Oh, okay. I don't think that was necessary. I might have overestimated myself. We're just gonna quickly run the fuck away. But yeah, you'll, that whole, just the fact that people get sent flying when the Leman Russ shell impacts, just, like I said, more to love about this game. Despite its age, there's a lot to love.
I await your instructions.
RTS games have always been sort of interesting to me. Not because they're more enjoyable than any other game to me, so to say. Just the I feel like the perspective you get with them is something I enjoy.
Orders received. Weapons at ready.
He who stands with me shall be my brother.
Gotta keep reinforcing it because we are losing Marines, which sucks.
Yes, Lord. I exist to serve.
What would you have me do?
Orders received.
I'm thinking, because we got two ways to the last objective, I'm probably just gonna try and split them up.
Maintain attack formation.
These guys are a little bit more close range focused, with the mid-range power of the bolters, as well as the hybrid power, the hybrid squad that Commander Gabriel's attached to. I feel like these guys are a little more melee focused, so I kind of want to keep them away from the Lehman Russ tank, you know, lest I end up blowing up my own troops, which would probably be viewed in a negative way. Just gonna say it now, especially considering how important each Space Marine really is to a chapter. They're all brothers.
The Emperor protects.
Oh, brutal.
Ever vigilant. Strategic point identified. Direct us to the enemy.
Ooh.
Stay vigilant, brothers.
Oh, come on now. That's just unlucky.
Stay vigilant, brothers.
Alright, change of plans. You get to be in
Moving out.
front. Tank McShoot my
Weapons
Frenzikins.
at ready.
God,
It
that
is
was lame.
time. Heresy grows from idleness. Orders received.
But yeah, we're just gonna push up on both fronts now. I'll keep the
Maintain
melee
attack
guys
formation.
going up here on the right. I think because that's just a single outpost, whereas I think up on the left here, going off the amount of resistance they're encountering, I'm assuming this is where the actual base is, so
I await
I
your
want the tank there.
instructions. With all
Taking
due haste.
haste. We are the Emperor's
Or
choosers.
maybe I'm wrong.
While the enemies of the Emperor still draw
Either way, they're both gonna meet up. Unless there's a wall there, in which
Yes,
case I'll
Lord
just
Beneficent
route
One.
one of them back to whichever
Yes,
path does
Lord.
lead to the main force.
At your command. Faith is our shield. Direct us to the enemy.
Praise the Emperor.
Awaiting orders. Orders received.
It's a point to note, by the way, that the Space Marines aren't shooting regular bullets. They're shooting these sort of like hyper-compressed gyro mini explosives out of their guns. That's what a bolter is. So it's not just you're not just watching them shooting like literal sharp little digits of hot lead. They're shooting out these Durasteel spinning little grenades, basically.
Stop us. Onward to glory.
If you look at the orcish architecture, you'll notice it looks really like slap job, like it's all just randomly ramshackled together. Fun fact, that actually is how they build their guns as well. Their guns are actually under the influence of that psychic herd mentality of theirs, which is why if you look at their guns and you try to shoot it as a regular human, it just won't, a lot of the time, it won't fire. And if it does fire, it'll probably blow up, because you're human.
My faith is my shield.
But, just the way that
Follow my
orcs
lead.
build their structures, they also build their vehicles and their guns in the same way. Which is why, when removed from that orcish psychic herd influence, they return to what they are, which is a ramshackled hunk of scrap put together with spit, grit, and duct tape.
Moving out.
The Orc Mech Boys are absolutely just drop-dead funny for that fact alone. Like, excusing the fact that colors have an effect over the actual universe and how orcs view it and affect it, the fact that a single Orc Mech Boy can go in and just absolutely somehow create something as hilarious as a shooter, which is what they call their guns, by taking a couple of 2x4s and some broken,
Today, the enemy
shattered tank remains and wrapping them up with twine is fucking hilarious.
enemies of the Emperor still
And
draw
nothing
breath.
beats it.
No peace.
The orcs the orcs have this sort of obsession with trying to obtain more, as they call it, daka, which is the equivalent of wanting to obtain more firepower. Okay, I'm just gonna look away from the Lehman Russ tank, because every time I look back at it, I see it shoot terribly, and its accuracy is starting to aggravate me. It's a stationary building, sir! I don't care how angry the machine spirit is, pat it!
Today, the enemy shall know fear.
Need to get myself some of the Mechanicus in here. The Mechanicus being the other human, quotation, human faction.
Weapons at ready.
They live on Mars, and they believe in, they have this whole religion dedicated towards machines and machine spirits and stuff. I think that's it.
There,
Yep.
That's the last of them. Well done, Blood Ravens. Victory is ours.
Very nice.
I am honored to be in the presence of a librarian. I wish to know how my men can better serve you. We shall wait for the captain to finish his prayers. I saw you stand against the orcs. You are a brave man, Colonel. I wish I could say the same of your men. I shall strengthen their resolve, my lord. See that you do, or we shall do it for you. You have something you wish to say. Say it, Colonel. How did you know? Even without my psychic gifts, it is obvious. Speak. Is it true your company eradicated a heresy on the planet of Cyrene recently? An exterminatus, down to the planet's last man, woman, and child? Colonel, your company is welcome, but such questions are not. Do not ask the captain about Cyrene if you intend to remain in his good graces. Brother Captain, the Colonel wishes an audience with you.
Thank you, Isidore.
My lord, my Tartarus 37th Imperial Guard Regiment stand ready to serve you in protecting the city. They wish to make amends for...
They will have many opportunities to prove themselves warriors worthy of the Emperor. The Blood Ravens are leaving the city. Its protection is in your hands.
I will ready my men. May I ask what your next course of action is?
Orcs only respect strength. I intend to show them that we have it in ample supply. Excellent. This orc camp has been destroyed.
And with that, we have finished the very first mission of Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War. On next episode, we'll just jump straight into the second mission, and we'll just continue to work our way through it. And when we're finished, we might, as I said at the beginning, we might play some skirmishes. Anyway, I've been Deca Druid, and thank you for watching.